Hey guys, Adam here from Lawnhub and welcome back. Now, we did plan to do a video outside today. However, it is 44 degrees Celsius. We have works happening across the road. We have dust, we have tractors, we have trucks. So, in the interest of safety of not only myself, but the team that filmed this and the cameras, we're going to do another Lawnhub learning video. Now today, it's one of our most asked questions is, do you have a 12-month lawn program? Now, whilst it's going to be part of the book, I thought that maybe we'll do a video about it first, and we'll talk about things all like fertilising, pre-emergent, celeprins, diseases and all that sort of stuff, and how to incorporate that into a 12-month program. So being that it is February at the moment, we're going to go back to the start of the season. So we're going to start at spring. So, September, October, around that period is sort of when we're going to start. And then we're going to talk about, the things that when we should be applying, why we're applying them, and the importance of the timing. So if that's something that interests you, then make sure you stick around. All right, so spring. Spring's exciting. It means that our lawns are starting to wake up. Hopefully, our soil temps are on the way up. Now, just a reminder that we're in the south part of Australia, so we're in Adelaide. Our weather is very different to that of North Queensland. So I think maybe this would just be a generalised guide. And as I suppose the book progresses, it'll be more, area specific. But this is just a general 12-month program and something that a lot of our customers here at Lawnhub follow. So in spring, around September, obviously, is when spring starts. That's when we start to see the AFL Grand Final. That's sort of a starting point for me in terms of our pre-emergent, our acelepryn application, so for our black beetle larvae, around that time, week after, week before, around that time, but we'll talk about it. When's the best time to first do your first fertilizer application? That's also important. And then sort of where do we go from there? So spring, leading up to the AFL Grand Final, which is the last Saturday of September, sometimes the first Saturday of October. That's sort of when we're looking for pre-emergent and acelepryn. But before that, we want to get some form of food into the soil. So in the second or third week of Sep is when you're going to want to apply your granular fertilizer. So whether that's Trojan, if you're still wanting to use premature, if you're after a more balanced fertilizer, got laid, or if you have your real shortcut turf mini pill. So that's when you want to do your granular app. Second, third week of September, that is going to be your first part of food into the soil. Obviously water it in afterwards. And what that's going to do is once the soil temps start to pick up, the root zone of your lawn will begin to feed on that. So that's important to get down. It's probably better to get it down earlier rather than later. Now, if you plan to do any overseeding or seeding of a lawn, then pre-emergent is out of the question, unfortunately. So pre-emergent is going to, as we talked about in our last Lawnhub learning video, is going to inhibit cell production of those seeds. So yeah, if you're planning to, and root zone of new lawn. So if you're planning to do a new lawn or overseed your cool season variety, pre-emergent is out. So ignore this step. However, the best thing for those warm season grass varieties with no overseeding, or you don't plan to do any works in the soil, it's going to stop your summer weeds like paspalum, summer grass, crabgrass. Those are the main three that we're trying to prevent in our summer warmer months. So there's your spring granular application. Then we're going to look at the fourth week of Sep to first week of October. That is going to be when we apply our pre-emergent, acelepryn, and our wetting agent. There's a really good time for us to get all these three products into the soil at once. Now, a little tip, and with the power of editing, Izzy, this is going to be your job. All right, you're gonna have my face in the middle, and you're gonna have two separate scenarios. All right. The first scenario is going to be all liquid. So you love using your spray, you prefer to apply your products via spray. This one's going to be for you. So it is completely safe to tank mix Barricade, acelepryn liquid, and Lawnhub wet together. Now, it is also completely safe to tank mix Spartan, which is the same active as Barricade, Acelepryn liquid, and Lawnhub wet. So those products, if you're using it via liquid, those products are safe to tank mix together, spray out over the entire lawn, followed by an irrigation cycle straight after. Now, if you're a granule person, you prefer to use granule products, then granule Acelepryn, so Acelepryn GR, Onset 10 GR, which is a granulated pre-emergent, which is the same active ingredient as Spartan and Barricade, and BBW. Those products can be applied all at the same time. In my experience, it's better not to mix them in the same spreader and rather do 3 applications. So you do your Onset, then your Acelepryn, then your BBW, followed by watering it in. Now, if you can't get irrigation onto that mixture straight away, that is okay. You can hold off on irrigating that in or getting that into the soil if something were to happen. However, please try and not rely on the rain to water these products in. It's unpredictable, it's never accurate, and there's not as much control. And there's also the potential, if it does rain extensively, the possibility of washout. So then those products become null and void. And prodiamine, which is in Spartan, Barricade, and Onset, if they get into any waterways, that's going to be a trouble. So obviously you want to do this weather dependent as well, but those 2 scenarios are perfect to be completely blended together. Now, so we've done our first lot of spring applications. Now, essentially we just wait for that warmer weather to come, and with all that product in the soil, so we've got our Trojan or our granule fertilizer. Once the soil temps start to rise, the lawn will start to grow, and then it is important to be on top of your mowing and get ready if you're going to do a spring renovation. Now, spring renovation can tie in beautifully with all of this as well. The best time to do a spring renovation is when soil temps are up. Now, I know I keep mentioning that. Now, a quick tip for soil temps is you want a combined degrees of around 36. So, for example, soil temps, 36 degrees. So what we mean by that is you have a nighttime, so NT, nighttime temperature of 10, and daytime temp, DT, of 26 equals 36. Now, that's what we mean by 36 combined degrees. That's when you're going to start seeing things like your cherry blossoms, your, mainly like those cherry blossom type trees. I'm fortunate I've got a couple at home, so I know when they start to blossom and begin to flower, soil temps are on the way up. If you've got roses, they're usually a good indicator as well. And then some fruiting fruits as well, they'll begin to flower early for pollination and all those types of things. So when you start to see that, that's when you know you're on the track to begin your springtime renovation. All right, so springtime renovation. First and foremost, you do not have to do a springtime renovation. You do not have to get caught up in the Instagram, the Facebook, the YouTube. You do not have to do a springtime renovation. However, what are the benefits of a springtime renovation? Remove excess dead material. So these are things like, if you've got a warm season grass like kikuyu, buffalo or cooch, when the stolons and everything sort of shed their skin, I suppose in a snake term, they get stuck in that sort of thatch layer and around the soil. So remove excess dead material, remove thatch, and also it allows you to get to the soil. Now this is important, especially if you want to do things like scarifying or coring. You can scarify and core long lawns, that's not an issue. But if you want, your lawn to looking, little to no thatch, mown at a really nice height and nice, even, consistent colour. Similarly what we've done out here to the lawn, it was very high and thatchy, cut the guts out of it, brought it back, and it's a nice height now. So springtime renovation gives you that opportunity to be able to do that. Now, You won't want to do that until, like I've said, the soil temps are on the way up and we've got combined temperatures around 36 degrees. The trees, the flowers and everything are starting to blossom and flower. If that means that you are in November and you want your lawn looking mint for Christmas, you may just have to hold out with what you got. So we're ready to go. We're getting our consistent temperatures, soil temps are on the way up. The type of, I suppose, machinery, the things that you're looking for are a mower, either rotary or cylinder, it's up to you. Scarifier. Again, you can hire these from landscape yards, you can hire them from hire yards, you can go to the hardware store with a few mates and go halves, thirds, quarters in one. And a corer. And a corer, as we discussed in the last Lawnhub learning video, that's when the machine goes into the soil and brings physical cores out, allowing water, nutrients, oxygen to get into the root zone. So if you're going to do that, I would start with scalping the lawn first, so a pre-scalp, removing all the top, majority of the top layer, then coming through with the scarifier, which will grab, again, a little bit of the top layer and the lower layer, remove all that, do the core. You can opt to leave the cores on. I'm going to take the cores away and dispose of them responsibly, and then top dress. That is your most basic form of a springtime renovation. Now, you may have picked up on that there was no fertilizer, wetting agent involved in that springtime renovation. It's because we've talked about it, especially in my first lawn series, about feeding the lawn prior to being able to do that sort of renovation, because the lawn is then already actively growing. You're going to have a much quicker recovery. Now, this step is all going to depend on your area. So for example, my springtime renovation didn't happen this season until it was about mid-September, late October. So it was probably a bit later than that. It was the winter sort of lingered on for a little bit. So if this means you don't get to this until after Christmas, that's fine. But majority of people want to get their springtime renovations done in early, so come Christmas time, the lawn is humming. Now, we'll move on, I suppose, to the next step. So you've done your springtime renovation, you've done your granular fert. So usually that window is about a 4 to 6 week window. You've done your pre-emergent, you've done your aceleprant application, you've done your wetting agent. So your base, and we'll talk about it a lot, but your base to work from is stable, it's already there, and then we'll start introducing things like liquids. All right, so we've done our springtime renovation within 4 to 6 weeks of our first lot of attention for the season on the lawn. So again, our granular fertilizer, pre-emergent, and our grub protection and wetting agent. So we've got our base, you've done your springtime renovation, and you're starting to see that new growth come back. So this will typically happen between 2 to 3 weeks after the application or after the springtime renovation. So at this point in time, we're 8 weeks on from September. So we're September, October, we're in November now. So November, this is when we're going to start introducing our liquid fertilizers. So things like Roots and Shoots, 3-Way, and potentially Money Shot. Roots and Shoots is perfect for after that renovation time when you've got that fresh green leaf coming through. So when you see that, and again, this will all depend on your recovery time in your area where you live, Roots and Shoots. Now for this application, this is going to be a leave to dry on the leaf application. So you've got that fresh green growth. We just want to come out, spray it over the entire lawn and leave it to dry on the leaf. Honestly, it's probably some of the quickest results you'll see using a liquid product like Roots and Shoots after that initial new growth coming through. So at this point in time, we're in about this, I suppose, the 1st to 2nd week. But for the purpose of this video, we're now in the 2nd week of November. We've done our Roots and Shoots application. At this point in time as well, we're probably looking at potentially the first mow as well. So the first mow is going to happen once the lawn starts to get a little bit longer, and you want to keep on top of that because you've just removed all that excess dead material, you've cut out the thatch. You essentially then don't want the lawn to be rebounding and get all thatchy and tall and leggy again. So we want to go back to regular mowing. Once we've done that, sort of our first mow, and that'll be, it'll be in between this application, so it'll be from the roots and shoots application to our next liquid application, which will be, so we'll put this in the middle, so 2 weeks has passed, and then we're going to look at doing a 3-way application. And again, that's going to be a spray on the leaf application and leave to dry. And that's going to be your foundation. That's going to be your base point. So from now on, and again, you can write it down in a book, and it eventually will be, but it's all going to be timing specific. So this is going to just be a guide. It's not going to be on the 3rd of November, you have to apply this product. That's not how this lawn plan is going to work. It's going to be adaptive. And as we spoke about in our first lawn series, you can plan and do all this pre-stuff, but you rock up on the day and it's blowing a gale or it's 44 degrees. No one's doing anything that day. What I was saying, what I was getting to, is now that this is your base application of roots and shoots and 3-way, and also it's your base application of your granular fertilizer. So from now on, from every 4 to 6 weeks, that is then it's going to be the next application. Of course, you don't want to overdo it, so please try and stick to not doing it every 2 or 3 weeks if you can. Obviously, again, weather might not permit, but you want to work off a base. You don't want to, overload your lawn with all this nutrients that it can't take up. It's just a waste. And we talk about these products being an investment all the time. So we're now in the 4th week of November here, and we're starting to look at the first week of summer being December. All right, so now it's December. We're getting ready for Christmas. Now, not a whole lot changes, to be honest, in December. You see on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, you see all these people like, oh, I'm getting ready for Christmas, doing this, doing that, doing this. It's so important that you build that base earlier on in the season, so it's just about topping up. It's about just, yep, all right, cool, topped up. Now it's just about maintaining. So maintaining a lawn is, once you get to a maintenance stage, it's the easiest part about lawn care. It's just about keeping on top of things. When you allow things to get away from you, it starts to get a bit difficult. So first week of December, what are we going to do? Are we going to put down copious amounts of iron to make it green? Absolutely not. So you think about spring, we did our granular application in the first week of September. September, maybe the second or third week, depending. We are due for a granular fert. So because we've been able to manage to do top-ups of applications of roots and shoots and 3-way, the lawn's it's not hunting for food. It's just being topped up. It's just being topped up. It's just being topped up. So that's going to be in the first week of December. Again, is going to be your granular fert. So again, your Trojan, Prem, Got Laid, Mini Pill, whatever you choose to use. First week of December, get that in the soil because soil temps are going to be on the rise very quickly if they haven't already. Now, quick sort of side note to that. If you love using BBW over wet because of the application, you can tie in BBW with that application. There's absolutely no problem with that at all. They can be mixed. Again, apply them back to back, followed by watering it in. If you prefer to use wet, then that's fine. We just have to do it, I like to do it with a roots and shoots application. So we're sort of looking, if we did it in the first or the second week of November of our roots and shoots application, that just means that we're now due in the second week, roots plus wet. Now, those of you subscribed to the weekly cut, that's my favorite mixture, roots and wet. Now, we've got that in, we've watered in, we're keeping up with our regular mowing. This is the time when the lawn is going to be vigorously growing, the colour's going to be there. You want to keep on top of your mowing, you don't want to allow it to scout, get out of hand. If you've got a cylinder mower, this is the time to start really burning in those stripes. If you've got a putting green, it's about keeping on top of that. Now, if your lawn is 100% recovered, it is looking fantastic, it's growing consistently in your mowing, at this point 2 to 3 times a week, we need to start introducing PGR. So your Astro, your Primo, those products, like we spoke about in the first video of Lawnhub Learning, if you want to know more about them specifically, head back to that one. You can find the timestamp where I talk about PGR. This is the time, in this second week is the time to apply PGR. So we're still in the second week, but only if your lawn is 100% recovered. So that's going to be a PGR app with Money Shot. Now we talked about that in the video of Lawnhub learning, the first one, about why we do that. But again, if your lawn is fully recovered, looks fantastic, PGR in the second week. Beautiful. So we're 2 weeks into December. We're regular mowing. We're regular watering. We're just topping up. We're not overloading. We're just topping up. It's time. It's time to introduce Money Shot. Now, Money Shot, as we spoke about, is going to make your lawn greener. It's going to give it that deep, dark look. Now, for events, I like to do 2 applications, not at the full rate, but at the half rate. I like to do one about a week and a half out, and then 4 days before the event. So yeah, so I suppose if we go, about 10 days out from Christmas, you know what, we'll make that 12. We don't want to overload it. 12 days of Christmas, Money Shot. Now, I talk about not overloading the plant. This application of Money Shot with the PGR is not going to have the effect as it will right now. That application there is to try and mitigate the potential colour loss that PGR gives to lawns, especially its first application for the season. So in my opinion, that's not overloading the plant. So 12 days out from Christmas, Money Shot. So we've got that down, leave it to dry on the leaf. Same as a PGR, leave to dry on the leaf and continue normal mowing routines, all right? So at this point, 12 days out, your lawn will be looking really good, but we're building it up to the peak. Now, 4 days out from Christmas, another application of Money Shot at half rate. So 200 mils per 100 square meters for both applications. Again, we're just topping it up. Continue mowing, and come Christmas Day, your lawn is going to be peaked. It's going to look fantastic. At the same time, if you've got gardens, it's all going to tie in nicely and you're going to have the best lawn in the street. Now, of course, if there's 10 of you on the street and you're all following this plan, good luck. You can fight to the death for who has the best lawn. But we've got to Christmas now. The lawn's fantastic. Your father-in-law's gone, God damn it, that looks fantastic. Why can't my lawn look like that? You've ticked all your men boxes for Christmas, all women boxes. Now, what do we do after Christmas? We usually have so much food left over. It's usually hot, can't be bothered. But unfortunately, if you want to keep on top of it, like we mentioned earlier on in the video, it's about keeping on top of things. We need to get back out there. So this is when our next application, so 4th week of December, is our 3-way app. 4th week of December, our 3-way application. We're going into the new year. The lawn's still got Money Shot pinging there, and in the 3-way application, all good, beautiful, no dramas going into the new year. And essentially, your lawn is now, like I mentioned before, it's about topping up, it's about maintaining it, it's not about overdoing it and, you know, really dumping a whole lot of product onto the lawn. So we'll move into January. All right, so for January, there's actually not a whole lot because we've done a lot of maintenance about on top of things. So January, there's really not a whole lot at all. So January, New Year's happens. All right, your next application of roots and shoots is due about the 2nd or 3rd week. So we'll go roots, and that's it. It's just about maintaining your mowing, your watering, and that's it. So not a whole lot happening in January. Now, if you're situated north of Australia, so I suppose from Sydney upwards, your disease pressure is probably going to start increasing if it hasn't already. This is when a product like Heritage Max, Azoxystrobin, Impala, those types of products are going to be perfect to apply now as not only as a I suppose a knockdown, but also a preventative for many diseases in turf. If you have things like dollar spot, especially Pythium, ERI, those types of diseases, then January, potentially December, again, it all depends on the weather, is going to be a great time to get those products down. We don't necessarily get a lot of it down here in the southern part of Australia. However, we did have a lot of cooch, or every single cooch variety did have some ERI damage going into winter last season, but we'll talk about that. So January, bit quiet. February, we're going to look at our next application of three-way. I suppose, just on a side note, that January, if you're having extended periods of hot weather as well, you could tie it in with wet or BBW, whatever your choice is. If you're getting extended periods of hot weather, so like today in February, here in South Australia, as I've mentioned before, it's 44 degrees. So we are probably just about due for another wetting agent application, but especially in this hot weather, every 4 to 6 weeks is the sweet spot. Feb is your next application of three-way. So this could be the first, second week, depending. And then February, moving into March, is going to be our next granular application. So this is when you could start transitioning towards premature. Now, we talked about in the first video of Lawnhub Learning about the 2 applications of premature to fight the curve of the color loss. So March, granular, because that's going to be 8 to 12 weeks after your last granular application. Like I said, we're probably looking at a prem application here because it's a little bit lower in nitrogen, higher in potassium and higher in iron. So we're boosting up the color and we're also boosting up the root strength and resilience to colder weather. So March, first week, we've got our granular application down. The other thing to consider as well, wetting agent in between here, again, that's all going to be dependent if you're, experiencing still hot weather, hydrophobic soil, everything we spoke about in the first Lawnhub Learning video. Now, everyone's nemesis in Australia, or a lot of us lawnies, is winter grass. So pre-emergent application for winter grass is so important. I've had a few questions this morning about it already. So as we spoke about in the first episode, that timing of application is critical. You don't want to be too late and you don't want to be super early. So at the back end of winter, we get a germination of winter grass. So I like to look at my applications around March, April. So depending on when Easter is, sort of that mid-March area. Now, the other thing to consider in this area here in January and Feb is also the potential for armyworm. So if you haven't already at that point in time done an application of Acelepryn, that's going to be really good for your armyworm as well. So we spoke about why that works the way it does in the first episode. If you want to go back to that, you can search for that and go to the timestamp for Acelepryn. So we're in March. I would say the window of application for pre-emergent is between week 2 to week 2 of April. So that's going to be for pre-emergent. At this point in time as well, if you're still getting quite warm temperatures and you are seeing potential grub presence as well, that would be another good time to apply your Acelepryn again for grubs if you hadn't applied it for armyworm because you've already applied it and you've got that protection, or you didn't apply it and you didn't apply it early on in the season and you had to apply it here. There's no need to apply it again here. That's fine. You'll get 6 months protection of Acelepryn. Now, pre-emergent, like I mentioned before, that can be safely tank mixed with either wet for the liquid, so Spartan and Barricade, or if you like Onset 10, BBW. Get that down, all right, water it in, get that pre-emergent into the soil, as we've spoke about. It doesn't stop weeds from germinating, it stops those seeds from producing cells to be able to turn into a weed. Now, that's important. So we've done just to quickly recap, January, we've got 1 applications of roots and potentially wet, depending on the severity of the weather. February, we've got a 3-way application, and then the first week of March, we've got our granular premature application. Moving down, between the second week of March and the second week of April, we've got our pre-emergent application window. Again, this is going to vary majorly depending on your current temperatures and what's going on in your local area. So, for example, we're experiencing severe heat here at the moment, but in North Queensland, they're experiencing severe rainfall. So it's all going to depend. This is just a guide. We haven't forgotten about though our applications of roots and three-way in here in March as well. So first week, so then again, second week of March, we're going to look at a roots and shoots application. So week 2 and 3, roots, this is in April, and then the last week of March, my bad boys and girls, three-way. So we've got, and I know like this point in time we are stacking a little bit, but we are trying to get as much of that beneficial nutrients into the plant to absorb, take on, so we can fight that colour loss that we spoke about. So now we're into April. At this point in time, we're going to just talk about how we've already applied our pre-emergent. Other than that, there's not a whole lot. So we've done our first week of March, we've done our premature application. We've also done our roots and three-way application. The plant is starting to look really nice. The colour's going to be green, it's going to be growing, which is important. But as we start to taper off in the temps, we need to really start thinking about our next granular fertiliser application of premature to again boost it up to help store those nutrients for as long as possible to fight the colour curve. Now, we're not going to go first week of April because that'd be 4 weeks ago. But we're talking in the back end of April, so third to fourth week, potentially first week of May. That is going to be our next premature app. Now, especially here in the southern part, or in Adelaide, we were still getting good temperatures to be able to do that application there. And that's going to be our last granular application for the season. That's until spring next year. That's going to be enough to build enough nutrients in the plant to be able to fight that colour curve and just hold on for as long as possible so you have the best lawn, not only for summer, but in winter as well. So from here, we get a lot of common questions as well, like, oh, can I apply money shot as well? Absolutely, as long as your lawn is still green and you have some ambient temperatures, you can also tie in a money shot application here. It's just going to enhance that colour, again, to fight the colour loss. Roots and shoots, wet, three-way, they can all still be applied 4 to 6 weekly. There's absolutely no trouble with that. But pretty much it'll just be about keeping on top of any mowing that you need to do, any potential weeds that may come through. Remember, and we spoke about it in the first episode, pre-emergent's not going to contain every single weed. It would be nice if it did, but unfortunately it doesn't work like that. So, but you will find, especially if this is the first time you've ever used a pre-emergent, you will see a reduction in weeds of about 85 to 90% if applied correctly. If you have winter grass run rampant, it cannot stress enough if you don't want it to get a pre-emergent down. And like I said previously, if you miss that window of application, we wouldn't be talking about pre-emergence anymore, we'd be starting to talk about post-emergence. And unfortunately, POA, or winter grass, especially in Australia, has built up resistance to a lot of chemicals for post-emergent chemicals. So it is important that if you don't want it in your lawn this winter, that you get on top of it with the right application. Now, obviously, that's a very basic lawn plan. It's obviously going to suit most of you, to be honest. Those of you just looking for timing to apply products, and majority of the questions we get are based around when should I apply this, when should I apply that. Of course, once we turn all of this visuals into a proper book, it'll be documented a lot better. It'll be structured a lot better, be more information. But I think if you were to and this is the lawn plan that I follow at my place loosely. Fortunately, we all do get busy, but the lawn out the front is going to follow that lawn plan going into winter. There's going to be no reason as to why it won't. And like I said in episode 1, those 2 applications of premature are so important to be able to help fight that colour curve. Of course, if you get severe frosts, there's really nothing the plant can do in that situation. Unfortunately, severe frosts are the detriment to the colour of your lawn. But yeah, like I said, that's a real basic lawn plan. And I do believe that, you follow that, you'll have good results. Obviously, if you're in areas that suffer from disease, you're going to have to sort of remember on previous seasons when you started to get those and apply a product like Heritage Max before those symptoms usually occur. So if that happened in February, get them down in January as an example, because once the disease hits, it's really hard to promote recovery during the cooler weather, especially in warm season varieties like Cooch, Kaku, and Buffalo, Zoysia, those types of lawns. So just keep that in mind, that disease pressure is usually, not always, but usually around the same time each year. Your grub problem is going to be around usually the same time each year. So it's just about getting those products down before those things start to occur, because as we know, grub damage, armyworm damage can be absolutely catastrophic to your lawn and can take a long period of time to recover. The other thing that I didn't mention in there is cooch mite. So cooch mite, in its name, is a mite for cooch, but it's not just targeted specifically to cooch. You can get it in kikuyu and you can get it in zoysia, buffalo, in rare cases, but it does happen. Cooch mite, if left untreated, has the same impact on your lawn. It can decimate your lawn, and they're really, really hard to get rid of. So again, if you have cooch mite, if you're unsure exactly what cooch mite is is a tiny, tiny mite that essentially eats at the stem of the plant, and it's unable to produce green material and grow freely. It really brings in the nodes of the leaf really, really, really closely. A little bit like PGR, but more extreme. And essentially the lawn really stresses out and really suffers, and you can lose large portions of your lawn to cooch mite as well. If that's something that you come across in October, then September you want to apply a preventative, or at the first sign of them, get something like Agador, which is ivermectin down. Of course, lawn plans can be very custom and suited to your needs, but this basic lawn plan that's going to build up from your fundamentals of pretty much around your granular fertilizer applications and topping up with liquids is going to be a great starting point for you. And then it's about adapting it to what you have in your area. So like I said, disease, insects outside of grubs, and yeah, extreme heat as well. So more frequent applications of wetting agent. There's no problem with more frequent applications of wetting agent. That's fine. So it's like I said, it's very basic. It builds the fundamentals. It builds the foundations for a really good lawn plan, and then for you to be able to adapt it to your specific needs. If you have any questions around what we've spoken about, or if you would like us to have a look at the lawn plan, and then you let us know, hey, I get disease in this parts of the year, I would like to know when my best timing of application will be, we're more than happy to look at that for you and come back with you. It's completely free. We do not charge for any of this stuff. It's just, we want to help you guys at home to have the best lawn on the street. And yeah, if you don't want to ask them publicly, you can always send me an email at adam@lawnhub.com.au. I'll be more than happy to help you. Hope you enjoyed and hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.